There's a story that has transcended time and culture, a narrative that has woven itself into the very fabric of human history. It's a story that begins in a small town called Bethlehem over 2,000 years ago. This is the story of Jesus Christ, a figure whose life and teachings have influenced billions across the globe. Now, I want you to take a moment to think about what that means. The impact of one individual, a humble carpenter's son, who would become a symbol of hope, love, and redemption for so many. Imagine the scene. A young woman named Mary, engaged to a man named Joseph, finds herself in a situation that would bewilder anyone. She's visited by an angel who tells her she will conceive a child by the Holy Spirit. Can you imagine the fear, the confusion, the disbelief? And yet Mary responds with faith, saying, "I am the Lord's servant." This is not just a story about a miraculous birth. It's about the courage to accept a path that is fraught with uncertainty. How many of us can relate to that feeling of being called to something greater than ourselves, even when it seems impossible? Fast forward to the life of Jesus. He grows up in Nazareth, a town that was not particularly special or noteworthy. He lived a life that many would consider ordinary, working alongside Joseph, learning the trade of carpentry. But even in those early years, there was something different about him. At just 12 years old, he astounded the teachers in the temple with his understanding and wisdom. This moment speaks volumes about the importance of nurturing our gifts, of seeking knowledge, and of being unafraid to challenge the status quo. As he steps into adulthood, Jesus begins his ministry. He gathers a group of followers, a motley crew of fishermen, tax collectors, and zealots. This is significant. Jesus didn't choose the elite or the powerful. He chose the everyday person. This speaks to us today, doesn't it? It reminds us that we don't have to be extraordinary to make a difference. Each of us has the potential to impact the world around us, regardless of our background or status. Jesus travels from town to town, teaching in synagogues, sharing parables that resonate with the common people. He speaks of love, forgiveness, and compassion. He challenges the religious authorities of the time, urging them to look beyond the rules and rituals to the heart of the matter: love for one another. Think about how often we get caught up in the minutiae of life, in the rules and expectations, and forget the simple yet profound truth that love is at the core of our existence. One of the most powerful aspects of Jesus' ministry is his ability to connect with those who are marginalized and outcast. He reaches out to lepers, tax collectors, and sinners, offering them not just healing, but a sense of belonging. In a world that often ostracizes the different or the broken, his message is clear: everyone is worthy of love and grace. How often do we extend that same grace to those around us? How often do we judge based on appearances or past mistakes? Let's talk about the miracles. The feeding of the 5,000, turning water into wine, healing the blind and the sick. These stories are not just about the miraculous, they are about the message behind them. Each miracle serves to illustrate a deeper truth about faith, abundance, and the power of belief. When Jesus fed the 5,000, it wasn't just about filling stomachs. It was about showing that with faith, even the smallest offerings can be multiplied to meet the needs of many. It's a reminder that we are never too small to make a difference, that our contributions, no matter how insignificant they may seem, can create ripples of change. As Jesus continues his journey, he shares profound teachings. The Sermon on the Mount is a cornerstone of his message, encapsulating the essence of his philosophy. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. These Beatitudes turn conventional wisdom on its head. They challenge us to rethink our values, to recognize that true strength often lies in humility and compassion. And then, there's the parable of the Good Samaritan, a story that has become synonymous with selfless love and compassion. A man is beaten and left for dead, and while others pass by, it is the Samaritan, a person considered an outsider who stops to help. This parable invites us to question our prejudices, to extend kindness beyond the boundaries we often create. It's a call to action that resonates today as we navigate a world filled with division and strife. As Jesus' popularity grows, so does the tension with the religious and political leaders of the time. They see him as a threat, a disruptor of the status quo. This leads to a series of confrontations that ultimately culminate in his arrest. Imagine the fear and confusion among his followers. They had left everything to follow him, believing he was the Messiah who would liberate them. And now, it seems, their hopes are crumbling. The trial of Jesus is a pivotal moment in this narrative. He stands accused, questioned by those who wield power, yet he remains composed, unwavering in his message. This is a powerful lesson in integrity and conviction. How often do we find ourselves in situations where we feel pressured to conform, to compromise our beliefs? Jesus' example teaches us the importance of standing firm in our values, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. The crucifixion is perhaps the most profound and heartbreaking moment in this story. A brutal execution reserved for the worst criminals, Jesus is nailed to a cross, mocked and ridiculed. It's easy to see this as the end, a tragic conclusion to a life filled with promise. But here's where the story takes a transformative turn. In his final moments, Jesus utters words of forgiveness. "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." This act of grace in the face of unimaginable suffering is a testament to the power of love. It challenges us to consider how we respond to those who wrong us, to find the strength to forgive even when it feels impossible. And then comes the resurrection. 3 days after his death, Jesus rises from the grave, a moment that signifies hope and renewal. It's a powerful reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is the possibility of rebirth and transformation. The resurrection is not just a miraculous event. It is a promise that love conquers death, that despair can be overcome, and that new life is always possible. After his resurrection, Jesus appears to his disciples, offering them reassurance and commissioning them to spread his message. This is where the story extends beyond Jesus himself. It's about the legacy he leaves behind, a call for each of us to carry forth the values of love, compassion, and forgiveness. It's about how we can be agents of change in our communities, how we can embody the teachings of Jesus in our daily lives. As we reflect on this story, it's essential to recognize its relevance today. In a world that often feels divided, where conflict and hatred seem to dominate the headlines, the teachings of Jesus offer a path forward. They remind us that love is a choice, that forgiveness is a powerful act, and that we are all connected in our shared humanity. So, what does this mean for you? How can you take the lessons from Jesus' life and apply them to your own? Maybe it's about reaching out to someone you've had a disagreement with, choosing to extend kindness to a stranger, or standing up for those who are marginalized. Perhaps it's about finding the courage to pursue your calling, to embrace your gifts, and to share them with the world. Jesus' story is not just a historical account. It's a living narrative that invites us into a deeper understanding of ourselves and our purpose. It challenges us to look beyond our differences and to find common ground in our shared experiences. It calls us to be the change we wish to see, to embody the principles of love and compassion in every interaction. As we navigate our own journeys, let us carry forward the spirit of this story. Let us be the light in the darkness, the voice of hope in despair, and the hands of service in a world that desperately needs it. The story of Jesus Christ is not just a tale from the past. It is a blueprint for how we can live fully and authentically in the present. It reminds us that we are all part of a larger narrative, one that is still being written, and each of us has a role to play. So let's embrace that role with open hearts and unwavering faith.